In the early 15th century, Portugal was a small kingdom on the edge of Europe, poor in land but rich in ambition. The country's position along the Atlantic made it a gateway between the Mediterranean world and the unknown seas beyond. When Prince Henry the Navigator rose to power, he saw the ocean as Portugal's destiny. Henry gathered mapmakers, sailors, astronomers, and shipbuilders at Sagres, creating the world's first great school of navigation. From here, Portugal began its relentless push down the coast of Africa, not just for adventure, but for trade, wealth, and souls to convert to Christianity. In 1415, the Portuguese captured Ceuta, a city in North Africa, marking their first step toward empire. Soon after, explorers like Gil Jans rounded Cape Bojador, a feared point that had symbolized the edge of the world. By overcoming it, they shattered medieval geography and opened the door to the age of discovery. The 1440s brought the exploration of Cape Verde and the Azores, followed by Bartolomeu Dias in 1488, who became the first European to round the Cape of Good Hope, proving that the Atlantic and Indian Oceans were connected. 10 years later, Vasco da Gama reached India in 1498, landing at Calicut. His voyage changed history forever. Portugal had discovered a direct sea route to the riches of Asia, bypassing the Arab and Venetian middlemen who dominated overland trade. The world had entered a new age, and Portugal stood at its center. The Empire of Spices, 1498–1570. With da Gama's voyage, Portugal didn't just find a new trade route, it built a global network that stretched farther than any empire before. From Brazil to India, from Africa to the East Indies, the Portuguese carved a maritime empire that spanned the globe. King Manuel I, known as the Fortunate, turned exploration into empire building. Fleet after fleet sailed to India, led by men like Pedro Alvarez Cabral, who accidentally discovered Brazil in 1500 while sailing west to catch trade winds. In the Indian Ocean, Alfonso de Albuquerque became the architect of Portuguese power. Between 1509 and 1515, he captured Goa on the western coast of India, Malacca in Malaysia, and even tried to take Aden to control the entrance to the Red Sea. Portugal's empire was not one of vast territories, but of strategic ports and trade routes, fortified cities that acted as chains linking the world's oceans. From Mozambique and Mombasa in Africa to Goa, Malacca, and the Spice Islands, every link brought new wealth. The Portuguese traded spices, gold, ivory, and slaves, and in return exported textiles, weapons, and Christianity. Missionaries such as Francis Xavier spread Catholicism from India to Japan. By the mid-1500s, Portugal controlled the most profitable trading system on earth. Its ships carried pepper, cinnamon, nutmeg, and silk to Lisbon, turning the small kingdom into one of the richest powers in Europe. But beneath this glory, cracks were forming. The empire depended on fragile sea routes, overstretched garrisons, and brutal exploitation of colonized peoples. Rivals were watching and waiting. Expansion decline, and legacy of the Portuguese Empire. By the late 16th century, the Portuguese Empire had reached its peak, stretching across Asia, Africa, and South America. Yet its power soon faltered. In 1578, the death of King Sebastian I at the Battle of Alcácer Quibir plunged Portugal into a succession crisis. 2 years later, Spain's Philip II seized the throne, uniting the Iberian Peninsula under the Iberian Union, 1580–1640. During this time, Portugal's colonies suffered attacks from Spain's rivals, the Dutch, English, and French, who captured key Asian and African territories. After regaining independence in 1640 under King João IV, Portugal's empire survived but was greatly weakened. Brazil became the cornerstone of its wealth, producing sugar through enslaved African labor, and later yielding immense riches from gold and diamond discoveries in Minas Gerais. In Asia and Africa, Portugal held on to Goa, Mozambique, Angola, Macau, and Timor, though its dominance was challenged by other European powers. The 18th century marked a new phase, the age of gold and enlightenment. Gold from Brazil transformed Lisbon into a magnificent European capital, funding grand projects like the Mafra Palace. Yet prosperity bred dependence on Britain and internal corruption. The 1755 Lisbon earthquake devastated the capital, prompting Marquis de Pombal to rebuild and modernize the nation through sweeping reforms. In the early 19th century, Napoleon's invasion, 1807, forced the Portuguese royal family to flee to Brazil, making Rio de Janeiro the empire's capital, the only time a European monarchy ruled from a colony. In 1822, Brazil declared independence under Dom Pedro I, marking the end of Portugal's golden age and the start of its imperial decline. After losing Brazil, Portugal refocused on Africa and Asia. It maintained control of Angola, Mozambique, Guinea-Bissau, Cape Verde, São Tomé and Príncipe, Goa, Daman and Diu, Macau and Timor, though its dominance was challenged by other European powers. The British ultimatum of 1890 forced Portugal to abandon its ambition of linking Angola and Mozambique, triggering national outrage and helping to end the monarchy in 1910. The Estado Novo dictatorship, 1933–1974, under Antonio Salazar, insisted Portugal was a pluricontinental nation and resisted decolonization, even as other empires withdrew. Brutal wars of independence erupted in Angola, Mozambique, and Guinea-Bissau during the 1960s, draining Portugal's resources. The Carnation Revolution, 1974, a peaceful coup, overthrew the dictatorship, leading to rapid decolonization. By 1975, Portugal's African colonies were independent, and Macau's return to China in 1999 closed the final chapter of the empire. From the 1400s to the 1900s, the Portuguese Empire had connected continents through exploration, trade, and cultural exchange.
Its sailors mapped uncharted waters, its merchants built global trade routes, and its missionaries spread Christianity and language across the world. Today, the empire's legacy endures in the Portuguese language spoken by over 260 million people in 9 countries, and in shared traditions of architecture, cuisine, and culture, uniting the Lusophone world from Lisbon to Rio de Janeiro, Maputo to Goa, and Macau to Dili. The Portuguese Empire began with the dream of a small seafaring nation and ended as one of history's most influential global powers, an empire built not on land, but on the sea.